Today's lesson is about how to use a Photoshop gradient map adjustment to influence the color in your picture. Here is an ordinary picture with regular natural colors. We're going to influence this in order to change the mood of the view. When you do this, you're going to need gradient map adjustment. You'll learn how to use the gradient editor. Learn how to create and remove color stops and change their color. You'll tamper with the blending mode and experiment, and you'll also use the opacity slider. So going back to our image, in order to work on this, you need three things. You need your layers panel, you need your regular toolbar, which should be open by default, and then you need your adjustments open. I have mine here, but they may be up here as a tab, so look for those. First thing you do is you click on the gradient map adjustment, which is the last one in the panel of 16. When you click on it, you will get something. It seems like every computer has a different default. In this case, I have kind of a blue-green fading to white. Whatever you've got, you need to click in this band right in here, and you will open up what's called the gradient editor. Generally, you see this group of presets. My advice is to move this editor out of the way so you can see what the result is. As you click through the presets, you're going to get a variety of views. This particular preset is a black and white preset, so it gives you another way of making a black and white image. Here's one going from red to green, another kind of banding with a blue, red, yellow, another kind of banding, and so forth, along with the hideous rainbow. As a general rule, I don't use many of these except for black and white. What you want to do to influence this with color is to go down here to this band, and you want to click right inside the color stop. You have to click exactly in there. If you click just off to the right, you're going to create a new color stop. See it right there. It's easy to do where you accidentally create a whole lot of these. To get rid of them, you can cancel this, but it's easier just to grab the color stopper exactly and pull it off the gradient editor band. And then you get back to what you started with. So if you double click inside there, you're going to bring up the color picker. And again, you want to move this to a location where it doesn't block your view of the image. Right now, it's set here on the bottom row. Anywhere on this bottom row where your circle goes, that bottom row is 000 RGB, which is going to be a black. If you move it anywhere else, you're going to immediately introduce some color. The closer to the bottom, the darker your dark values will be. If you go up here, for example, you'll have a lot of light values. This doesn't usually have value as an image to look at, but it works well as a background and a way of influencing the background with a particular color. So by moving your cursor into the band, you can get a variety of color influences going through the greens, into the yellows, into the reds, into the bright reds, the pinks. Each one of those gives some kind of influence depending on your mood. Maybe could have some use for some kind of advertising. This sort of coloration is popular, and in magazine layouts, this kind of coloring is popular. If you go along this particular edge, you're going to get some sort of a gray. Here is extremely light gray. Here it's getting close to black, and so you can influence the level of black and white that you're getting there. So I'm going to pick this red right here and influence it. I'm going to say OK, and then I'm going to say OK on the color editor. Now what I might do is change my blending mode. To get to the blending mode, you have to go just above your top layer and you will see where it says normal. When you see that, if you click on it, you will get a drop-down menu with a number of different blending modes. And what this does is affects the interaction between this layer's adjustment and the image below it. You can click on any one of these just to experiment. Many will have no effect whatsoever. Some will have more effect than others. What you need to do is experiment. So some of the ones that seem to have the biggest effect are here in this group. These are the contrast blending modes. This one is overlay. This one, soft light. This one, vivid light. Each one gives a strong effect, not quite the same effect as the original view. You can return to that by clicking normal, and then you go back to your view influenced by color. So I decided that I'm going to use vivid light in this particular instance. And what I kind of liked was the pink sky effect in this one. I can combine the two by duplicating this layer, dragging it down here into the icon where it says make a new layer. So now I have this gradient map twice. In this particular gradient map adjustment, I'm going to use vivid light, and I am going to hide the sky. So in order to do that, I need to choose my selection tool. I'm going to use the magic wand since my sky looks quite white. I will click into the sky and I'll see what I get. I'm going to now use my paint bucket, and with my color, my foreground color set on black, I will pour that into it. So what I've got now is the influence of the blending mode of vivid light, but not in the sky. What I'm going to do now is go up to the top layer adjustment, and in this one, blending mode is influencing the entire picture. What I will do now is move this mask up to here. I'll press Alt and Option. First I'll click on the mask, that will help. I'll press Alt and Option, and you can see a small icon appear. And so when I click, I copy that layer mask and I can drop it on the other layer. So now I'm back to the blue sky. What I would prefer is for the sky to have that pink look to it, and so I need to make what is white black and what is black white. I can accomplish that by pressing Command or Control and the letter I. So now I have a gradient map with vivid light influencing the buildings and the normal blending mode influencing the sky. If you zoom in, you might see that some of the sides of these buildings don't have the vivid light influence. The way to fix that would be to change that blending mode. If you watch right here, when I click on the layer mask, I've got this building right here. I'm going to, in order to do that, I pressed Alt and I clicked here on the layer mask thumbnail. So I'm going to press B and get my paintbrush. I need that paintbrush to be white. So I'll switch my colors. And if I paint that out, I'm not painting at full speed, I'm painting at 66% opacity. In order to hurry that up, I'm going to modify that opacity and also modify the flow, which have been set at 16. So now I'm able to paint out that effect on the buildings, and I think it's going to make them look a little more vivid. In order to see what I've accomplished, I'll go back to the layer mask. I'll press Alt and click on it. And that's what I've accomplished. Let's see if it will show me what I've done there. So that's the difference. Now I have my skyline influenced by red with two different blending modes.